No, I wasn't working.
It's too big for you?
You were ready.
It's easier for me to grab something.
I like this. Get it up.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Councilmember Copenport.
Present?
Councilmember Hackey.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Davies.
Here.
Mayor Wiggins.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. At this time, I would like us to stand for the invocation, and Pastor Kevin Cottle from Christian Life Assembly will deliver the invocation, and then Mr. Davies will lead us in the flag salute.
Good. All right, let's take a moment. Father, we just say thank you. We're always thankful that we get to live in this community, and we're thankful for our leadership, and we're thankful to have an opportunity to vote, to speak our minds, to have a say. And so we're thankful to gather here this evening, and we just ask that you would have your hand upon the proceedings here tonight. And I don't know what's taking place, but you do. So guide the steps of our leaders. Thank you for our president, our Congress, and those who lead us on the state level, county level, and national level as well. And we just thank you for, again, allowing us to be a part of this community. And we ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Ready, begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, consent agenda. All items marked with an asterisk are considered to be routine and non-controversial by city staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion if no member of the council or the audience wishes to comment or ask questions. At this time, does any member of the council, or I'm sorry, of the audience wish to have something removed from the consent agenda? Council? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to proceed as staff recommends.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Let the record show it was a 5-0 vote. Audience oral and written communications. The City Council welcomes public comments on any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. We ask that this forum be utilized in a positive and constructive manner, and that people addressing the council should state their name and area of residence, and comments directed to an item on the agenda should be made at the time that item is called up. If there are things that are not on the agenda, then you can bring them up at this time. Are there any public comments?
My name is Socorro Schmidt, and I live in the city limits. And I just want to thank the council, the chief in particular, for our fine rating as far as a safe city. And I want to thank your officers and all your staff. It was noticed and very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Good evening, Mayor Wiggins, City Council members, City Manager Garrett, and residents of Tehachapi. My name is Rob Duco. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for Southern California Gas Company here in Kern County, and I want to talk to you tonight about natural gas. As you know, SoCal Gas distributes natural gas to the Tehachapi area, allowing your residents to heat their homes and hot water, cook their meals, and dry clothes economically and efficiently. Natural gas brings comfort and convenience to your residents. Employers in and around Tehachapi use natural gas for a number of industrial applications as well, including in agriculture for some of the greenhouses and at the cement plants here locally. And natural gas is used in transportation. It's been used in the past by the school district here, and it's used by heavy-duty truckers who pass by in 58. Natural gas is part of a balanced energy portfolio that you and your constituents enjoy. I'm here tonight to raise your awareness of an ongoing issue in California about which many people are unaware. California wants to disrupt this balanced energy portfolio. California wants to electrify everything. A proposal which did not pass the legislature in 2018 would have required all new buildings constructed after 2022 to be all electric, and would have required all existing buildings to be retrofitted to be all electric by 2030. While this proposal did not pass, you can be assured that more similar proposals will be coming. These proposals are being made in the name of global warming, reducing greenhouse gas and carbon emissions, and other environmental goals. While these goals are laudable, a cost-benefit analysis cannot justify such drastic actions. Let me be clear, SoCalGas does not oppose electrification. If you want to electrify all the appliances in your home, that's your choice. But don't take away that choice from those who want to use other energy sources. The fact is, virtually every home in Tehachapi already has electricity. Most of them also have natural gas or propane. This is balance. I'm alerting you that this balance is threatened, and with it, the economic stability of families and businesses could be threatened also. Forcing homeowners to replace their natural gas appliances with electric appliances is estimated to cost an average of $7,200 per home, and the cost of electricity would be about $388 per year more than natural gas. There is an alternative. Biogas, or renewable natural gas, is natural gas which comes from organic sources such as green waste, wastewater, food waste, and agricultural waste. We can capture some of this gas, which now goes to the atmosphere, and then clean it and inject it into our pipelines. If just 16% of the natural gas we deliver to our customers comes from renewable sources, it would have the same effect on greenhouse gas emissions as electrifying all of California, and would be at a much lower cost. And this is a realistic goal to achieve by 2030. With a balanced approach, we can achieve goals, preserve choice, and minimize disruption and cost. The point is that families of Tehachapi should not have to choose between what some decision makers in California believe is right for the environment and the reality of what they can afford. And with a balanced energy approach, they don't have to. Thank you very much for listening to me tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comments?
Madam Mayor, could I ask a question of this gentleman, please?
Certainly.
Through the chair, thank you. Sir, could you please explain to the council and the public how much electricity is generated via natural gas-fired power plants? Do you have that number handy?
About 60% of California's electricity is generated by natural gas.
Great, thank you. That's a significant amount of electricity that comes from natural gas, which is a clean version of what we currently experience. And I thank you for your presentation, and I look forward to continue using natural gas in the future. Thank you.
Those of us who have natural gas cooking stoves might say something like, try and move my stove over my cold dead body, or whatever the other term is, because that's how we like to cook. All right. Number 3, the City Council will appoint one member to the Tehachapi Valley Recreation and Parks District Board to fill the vacancy created by board member Mary Lou Corpus Amudio's expiration of terms. And we have 2 applicants.
We do. We received 2 applicants, one from Michael Pucker and the other from Kristen Lassen. They are both in the audience if you have any questions for them.
Okay, yes. Kristen Lassen, would you like to come up and make a comment?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kristen. My family and I moved to Tehachapi in 2006. We own and operate a small business out of the Tehachapi Airport. We have 3 children here. I primarily raise them, mostly as my full-time job. I also assist with our business. The parks are very important to me. I volunteered in this community a lot over the past 12 years, and I've seen it grow, and I've seen some wonderful new people move here, and I feel like we need to bring people together. We need to improve our parks in a responsible way. We need to find creative ways to fund and maintain our parks. And I feel like my experience with the Tehachapi Unified School District, primarily I've served on several boards and in elected positions and on committees, can really assist with the TVRPD as they try to form partnerships with TUSD. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the council? Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Puffer?
Hi, I'm Mike Puffer. I've lived in Tehachapi for about 14 years now. I have 3 kids. They're pretty much all grown, but I've taken part in Tehachapi Park and Recs programs. I've taken advantage of them. Took ballroom dancing there, and it's like a pretty good thing in my life. I worked really hard on Measure R. I thought it was the right choice for our community. Our parks do need to be improved. We have serious choices to make. I've taken tours and taken pictures of the parks. I know what areas they need to improve on. I want to work with everybody to make our parks a bright, shining spot of Tehachapi. Tehachapi is a beautiful place to live. It's a great place to raise your kids. Unfortunately, since I've been here, everybody says we need more places for our kids to have entertainment so they're not getting in trouble. And I think the parks can provide that, and I want to be part of moving forward with the parks and the community members to make it Bedford Falls. We had a choice. We could be Bedford Falls, or we could be Potterville, and I think Tehachapi is definitely Bedford Falls. And that's where I want to go with this, and that's why I want to be a part of the board to continue what I started back in June and working on getting Measure R passed. And that's, any questions for me?
Questions from the council? Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion if someone wishes to make a motion for, I'm sorry, to nominate.
Madam Mayor, could I speak,
Yes,
please?
yes, sir.
Thank you. I've made my position very clear on the Park and Recs affiliation with the City of Tehachapi in the past. I feel that the Parks Department should have a fully elected board. I do not feel that the City of Tehachapi should have any input whatsoever on appointing somebody to the board, and that is due to the fact that once we appoint somebody, the accountability is lost. We no longer can do anything to influence the board regarding our appointment. The people that have spoken to me about this issue have made it very clear that they would prefer to have the entire Tehachapi Recreation and Parks District Board be elected. And I think that this council should consider that issue rather than appointing somebody tonight. We should further discuss whether or not this should be taken forward as an elected position versus an appointed. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I believe tonight we have to appoint one member and then in the future, look at this. Mr. Short?
The law requires you to appoint two members, and this is one of them. So you'll be shirking your responsibility if you don't appoint, even though you may agree with Mr. Hecke's philosophy on elected versus appointed.
And Mr. Schroeder, could you please explain what shirking our responsibility, what that would entail should somebody question what we have done if our constituency has requested that we proceed with requesting a voted and elected panel versus an appointed?
With a mandate to force you to exercise your responsibility.
And the ramifications of not exercising our responsibility?
A court ordering you to exercise it. And that would involve legal fees, court costs.
Well, everything involves legal fees. I mean, it really does.
If you appoint somebody, there's no legal fees.
Yeah, but when our constituency asks us not to get involved with appointments because of concern for accountability going forward, we've just seen in our community an attempt to pass a $43 million, I don't care what number you want to choose, the numbers were all over the map. But we have experienced that in the last election when there was an overwhelming dissatisfaction with that entire prospect. And now that the folks have spoken, I'm not against parks, I'm not against any kind of recreation in the city of Tehachapi. What I am concerned with is we are blending the responsibility of the Parks Department to the council and to the city staff when that entity has taken it upon themselves to put on the ballot a $43 million measure. Had that passed, we could have potentially had issues. The folks in this community, the constituency could have come back to us and said, you appointed these folks. They put this stuff on the ballot when there's no possibility of accountability back to the council who appointed these people. So I'm concerned as a council member that we have a situation, and I've made my position clear in the past, but I'll say it again. There's concern that we have a situation where we should have all of the board, not only our members that we have previously appointed, but also the folks from the county who are appointed, all become elected. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I don't have any comments to what you just said, Councilman. Everybody makes their own decision on that. My job is to give you legal advice, and my advice is that your duty is to appoint somebody.
Thank you, Mr. Schroeder.
Yes.
Well, at the moment, our decision under discussion tonight is to appoint. It is not to determine what the makeup of the board and how it is elected at the Parks and Recreation District at the moment. On the issue of the $40 million bond, the voters held the board accountable and said it was too much right now. And I think it's taken in consideration, and the future board would have to pare it down or make it where the voters would vote for it. As far as accountability, the voters have held the board accountable. So no matter what you say, appointed or elected, they are accountable to the electorate. And putting a measure before the entire electorate is a perfect democratic process as far as I'm concerned. Instead of 5 board members saying, this is what we're going to go and do and spend, I think they put forth their best effort of what they thought was appropriate for the Parks and Rec District. And the citizens said, it's too much right now. So they chose not to vote for it. And to me, that's perfect representation right down to every household. So accountability issue is not there. So tonight, we have to appoint someone. I think both candidates are very well, they are very involved in the community. We're very fortunate to have 2 candidates it's hard to choose from. And it's a difficult position for us to have to select one or the other. With Mr. Puffer's involvement with the Parks and Rec and trying to get it a measure passed, I'm going to nominate him tonight, and that's not detract from the what I think of the other candidate. I think she's very well qualified as well, and I hope she does not, and I hope she will apply again. So that's that. So I will make the nomination.
There can also be a nomination for the other parties, if anyone wants to.
Yes.
I'm just curious, I heard no ask for public comments.
I apologize, I thought he did. Please give us your public comment.
Okay, Michael Bigleg. I actually think that Mr. Puffer is instrumental in us defeating Measure R. I think if he gets on this board again, he'll make it easier for us to defeat it the next time, if it's Measure R, X, whatever it is. So I'd actually like to see him get on that board again because he helped us drop a lot of opposition here. So as far as I don't like these bonds and this spending without accountability, I think he's the logical choice for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a nomination for?
There's another.
I'm sorry, yes, go ahead, Dennis.
Council, Mayor, Dennis Wallstrom, 906 Black Oak. In this, I understand that you have to nominate, and my only thought was that we did that impartially, not whether one person worked for one thing or one person was against one thing. It needs to be impartial on you know, the person's skill, their experience, and whatever. I don't think that, and I'm sorry, Phil, but I don't think that that's the right thing to say or do, or a reason to nominate one person over another. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Mr. Schroeder, do we need to take both nominations and vote for them? I will this time.
Only if both parties are nominated.
All right, go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to nominate Kristen Lassen.
Okay.
But also.
And I'll second that, please.
All right,
There doesn't need to be
no,
a second,
there
right?
doesn't have to be a
But
second.
that's okay, yeah.
All those in favor of Michael Puffer, I think raise your hand so the clerk can see.
Aye. One.
All those in favor of Kristen Lassen? Okay. Kristen Lassen it is? Kristen Lassen it is. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Hepke can be shown as not voting.
That is correct.
Okay,
3 to 1.
yes. All right. And congratulations, Kristen. All right, police chief reports, neighborhood improvement projects.
Good evening, Mayor, waiting for council members. Going to introduce to you tonight our neighborhood improvement project. In my time here as police chief, I've had a number of citizens express concerns over the conditions of some of the neighborhoods throughout the city. And as a police chief, I look at these conditions and I recognize that you know, these blighted conditions do tend to contribute to crime that occurs throughout the city. So we sat down as a staff and developed a program or a project to go through and systematically address these issues throughout the city. So the city of Tehachapi and the Tehachapi Police Department, I have the controls here right now. We'll begin a concentrated effort to improve the conditions of neighborhoods throughout the city. The Tehachapi Neighborhood Improvement Project will provide services from a community-oriented policing approach by working and partnering with residents to identify problems and formulate solutions. This is not just a law enforcement effort. This involves a lot of other stakeholders. Our department will coordinate additional resources to resolve problems that require non-law enforcement services, such as Public Works Department, Animal Control Services, Health Department, etc. We plan to systematically work our way through the entire city, and we've selected our first project, phase 1 of this project. We plan to address the area north of the railroad tracks. That area was chosen based on just its geographic location, and it makes sense to us to start in that smaller area, and it's the oldest area in town, and we feel like it needs that attention now. So that's the area we're going to focus on initially. Now, there's several different elements or components to this project and this program. The first of those, I'm going to just kind of lay out what all those elements are, and then we'll go into each one of them individually. The first component of this involves a neighborhood survey. There's a community education component, code enforcement, community engagement, law enforcement, city engagement, and some partnerships that we have developed. Neighborhood watch, and also a maintenance phase for this project. So the neighborhood surveys, my police officers and code enforcement officers are going to go into the selected neighborhood. We're going to go door to door. We're going to speak to everybody within that neighborhood and obtain their input about crime that's occurring in their area, identify any quality of life issues that they may have, and identify any needs that they may have as we proceed through this project with cleanup efforts and things like that. They may have some need some assistance in meeting those requirements that we have. The information that we obtained from these surveys, we're going to utilize to formulate proper responses to crime issues and citizen concerns. One of the big pieces of this, as we launch this project, is going to be community education. Key Bud, our community engagement specialist, is going to touch on his piece of this, which is the community education.
And what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the social medias that we have in place. With the police department, we've got our Facebook page, and with the city, we have our Facebook. We also have Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. We'll utilize those, also press releases as we do, as we normally release information. Creating educational videos for the citizens so they understand what we have available throughout this program. Neighborhood Watch, and try and kick off if they'd like it. We'd love to help them, assist them get Neighborhood Watch started in their areas, and also with webinars. We've, in the past, I've utilized GoToWebinar to provide information to people that maybe are more on the go and maybe can't make a Neighborhood Watch meeting, so you can actually utilize today's technology to provide information to our folks, so we kind of can do it the old school way through the paper, radio, TV, and on your smartphone and tablets. So try and get that message across.
Okay, so code enforcement. Code enforcement is going to be a huge part of this, and these photographs that we have up here are actual conditions that we have found throughout our city, in neighborhoods throughout the city that we've had to address on a code enforcement front. So it's our intent to enforce all municipal and building code violations, but understand the emphasis is going to be on achieving voluntary compliance, okay? We're not out here to issue citations, to issue notices. Our interest is in gaining voluntary compliance here. I know there's been some concern expressed at the last meeting on how we approach our code enforcement issues. And I will sit here today and I will tell you that I've got two of the best code enforcement guys in the business, and the efforts that these guys go to gain voluntary compliance before we even get to a notice stage or to a citation stage is incredible. They spend a great deal of time trying to work with folks to get voluntary compliance, and that's going to be our emphasis as we move forward with this project. Another piece of this is really community engagement. Corey Costello has been working with a number of groups throughout the community, and he'll discuss the community engagement piece of this project.
Thank you, Chief. What we're looking to do as part of this entire effort, and what Chief Krager pointed out, was during this process with the officers going to homes, they will no doubt identify people that would like to definitely comply, but physically and maybe even financially are unable to. So we had to figure out a creative solution. How do we address that? Well, part of that was to partner with churches and community groups that will assist these homes with maintenance and assist these residents with maintenance. So, hopefully not just one time where it's just a quick, moment, we do that job, but potentially adoption of that home. I spoke with a few churches that are all about possibly adopting that yard, and that would be one that they would have as a regular service project, and also provide volunteers for some neighborhood cleanup days that we plan to enact as part of this as well. Some of the community partners that we have on board already, we have, Chief, there we go. You did it again. There we go. We have Mountain Bible Church, Christian Life Assembly, and the Vineyard, and the churches are all on board with working with us in this project. Also, Waste Management, as part of this, we are going to be having these neighborhood cleanup days, and Waste Management, our contract hauler, has agreed to donate their large roll-off bins to sort of strategically place around the neighborhood, and so folks can bring non-hazardous waste, bulky items into those roll-offs. That's kind of where some of the volunteers might need to help in, carry that couch or that old recliner that's been sitting in the back or something to the roll-off. And then we're also working with the county and Kern to waive those gate fees at the landfill for those special days as well. So that's kind of where we're at with them. And as I mentioned, Waste Management has their piece is very important too. So these groups, along with Waste Management, and we're also looking always for additional partners as this program continues.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, so law enforcement. Law enforcement's going to be a big part of this as well. Our response on the law enforcement front is going to be based on information obtained through these surveys and actively address crime problems and concerns. It's our hope that by having our officers go door to door, that citizens will feel comfortable speaking with those officers and expressing their concerns about any potential crime problems, problem locations that exist within their neighborhood. Sometimes people are a little reluctant to come to the police station to share that information, but it's our hope that we can gather some of that intelligence by going out door to door and speaking directly with these people. We're going to focus on chronic offenders and locations. We've had, since 2015, we've had over 48 drug and chronic nuisance locations throughout the city that we've had to address on the code enforcement front. A lot of these come to our attention through complaints. It's mostly complaint driven. And it's our hope that by going door to door, we can gather that information from the citizens. We intend to work with the probation department, state parole, a lot of the other agencies to go through and address these chronic offenders. You will see an increased patrol in the identified neighborhood, and that's primarily going to be to address those chronic offenders within that neighborhood and take care of those crime problems there. We plan to gather all of our stats prior to launching in that neighborhood, and then also at the conclusion to see how effective our efforts were. And then as far as partnerships go, Key Bud has been working with a company to assist with that as well.
So, hopefully, are you familiar with Ring? Ring is the doorbell security camera system. They started a program a couple of years ago where they actually go into municipalities, work with the law enforcement, the local governments, to try and get camera systems installed in the neighborhoods. And the bonus is they come in with a $50 discount, and they ask the city to match that with a $50 subsidy, so that way our residents can get security cameras at a $100 discount. So we've targeted a 100 number, about a $5,000 subsidy. We're going to get $5,000 in discounts to the first 100 residents. We're able to GIS map to make sure that whoever wants to purchase lives within the city. We verify that, working with Ring and also talking with some other cities that have already had this program. That there's kickoff events and other things that help create the buzz, because if there's more security cameras inside the neighborhoods, people feel safer. This program was designed to help reduce residential burglaries. So that was one of the main targets, and that's what the results in some other law enforcement areas have seen. We will be the first to actually launch, and these are the products that are available through this program. So you can get a security system or different kinds of cameras, floodlights. It's up to the customer, the resident, to pick what they want. You can utilize your phone and change the settings and access the information real time. So it's been very beneficial.
beneficial in helping to solve crimes from the porch pirate stealing packages, the residential burglaries, and also with the security data that's captured, the resident can then share that with law enforcement if there's another crime that's maybe occurred in their neighborhood. So when we look at the products that are available to our residents, they start as low as $179, $100 discount is across the board, so it doesn't matter which product that you want. So you can, our residents would have a $79 investment, a subsidy from our city and the discount. So they're able to get a product that normally retails at $200 for $79. And if they want additional products, they've actually built in additional discounts. If any of our residents want a second or third, there's also built-in savings to these first 100 residents. We also want to make it available to businesses to, if our businesses within the city limits find benefit in it. So, and then the next part, Neighborhood Watch. With Neighborhood Watch is the community's program, and law enforcement is there to assist. So we're there to help kickstart a Neighborhood Watch should the neighborhoods want it. We offered it last year, and we had a kickoff meeting, and people didn't attend. Usually it's because you feel safe and you don't have that need. We did have requests from other areas outside of the city limits, but of course, we keep our resources here within the city to assist our citizens. So here we're able to go into this focused neighborhood Project 1 and offer Neighborhood Watch as a part of the questionnaire. And if they want it, we're here to assist them. So they may have questions, they may want to talk about identity theft. Maybe we'll bring in a speaker to address that. Whatever the citizens want, we're there to assist them. But it's Neighborhood Watch is a citizen-run program with the assist from law enforcement. And we can also offer that online through our webinar series and have a virtual Neighborhood Watch.
Okay, so my next item that I'll do is going to be the agreement with Ring for the partnership with Ring that he discussed. I think that's really an invaluable tool, and I think the city's contribution of $5,000 to get 100 surveillance cameras out into various locations throughout our city is a pretty good return on our investment, I believe. So I can't tell you, I wish I could sit here and tell you how long it's going to take us to get through each neighborhood. That's going to be dictated by how significant the issues are when we get in there. But at the conclusion of that project phase, we're not just going to abandon that neighborhood and move on to another neighborhood. We plan to continue with the maintenance phase of each of those neighborhoods after we conclude. We're going to do follow-up surveys to determine how effective we were, if those problems that existed prior to us starting, if those problems have been resolved, and also in an effort to improve our efforts for the next neighborhoods, little lessons learned to determine, if maybe we were a little too aggressive in one area or something of that nature, that we can kind of tailor our response to that next neighborhood. So I'm really excited about this project. I know Ms. Schmidt congratulated us on our recognition for safest city in Kern County, but we've got a lot of work to do. And I think we can get even better on that list and improve that ranking. And I think this is one of those tools that will enable us to do that. So again, this is a community partnership, and it's our goal to go out here and assist citizens in improving their neighborhoods and making them feel safer in their neighborhoods. So with that, myself, first of all, thank you to Corey Costello for his work in engaging with community partners and Keith with all of his work with Ring, and then my two code enforcement guys back here in the back who played a big part in assisting with the development of this program. So I think it's going to be extremely effective, but any of us here would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the audience concerning this?
Hi, it's Tammy Eagle, City. How does this work manpower-wise?
busy, but we're never too busy to go in and a concentrated effort to clean up the neighborhood. So it's going to definitely require a lot of commitment and dedication from our code enforcement guys who are going to be a big part of this, but I'm confident in their abilities and confident that we can get it done.
Distinguished Council, Barb Reynolds, Tehachapi resident, 47 years, Chief Bravo, for bringing to the community, for bringing to this council an outstanding proposal for public safety at a time when that is a real issue before this country. Not only the city, but for the state and the country. And we need, as a community, those kinds of reassurances. And thank God you've done that. That's why I love my men in blue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
Hi, my name is Daniel Green. I represent one of the churches, the Vineyard, that is part of this project. And I was asked to come here just to let everyone know that we are fully behind this. I also was a part of a Boy Scout troop for 8 years, and I want to suggest that as part of this project, to reach out to some of the Boy Scout troops in the local area, because I know they will also be willing to take part in this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Clint Davies, Carroll Way. I noticed on the Bring website there's a budget version of the camera. It's $100. I know there's some residents who can't pony up $100 to buy one of these to match the city and the company's funds. I think it's something we should at least go back and talk to Ring about, see if there's anything we can do to make that available for people who really can't afford it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And it is something that was in question, and these are the products they make available through that program. So the price point, the lowest price point is $179. So that price point will be $79 following that discount through the program for the least expensive product. But on the doorbell side, $199 is the least expensive that's available in this program. So it would be a $100 flat fee, which with no monthly contingencies for them to subscribe to. But that is what Ring's made available.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Lori Henry, and I live in West Golden Hills. And I'm here representing Mountain Bible Church. And we also have talked with Mr. Costello and are very supportive of all of these ideas. I will be taking them back and sharing them with the other members of our board at Mountain Bible Church and letting them know. But in talking to our pastor before coming here, we seem to be very excited about being able to work with the community, with the police department, and helping our community to Tehachapi. Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't be able to greet you like Barb does, but Green does. That was awesome. Kevin Cottle is a resident of the city and one of the pastors at Christian Life Assembly. And so I just want to let you know, 9 years ago, I came back to Tehachapi and I sat in a meeting like this, actually to do the invocation. And this actual subject came up. I don't know if some of you may have been around at that time, you probably don't remember it. And I remember there was a conversation about who might help us accomplish this. And as it went around the city council table, there was a lot of organizations that came up, and honestly, I was a little bit saddened because the church never did. And so I'm here to say, at least if I have to behalf of the Christian Life Assembly, I'm sorry for not serving you like we should have over the years, that our name didn't come up. That really bummed me out. So I've spent 9 years trying to change that. So I wanted to say thank you to the city for leading the way in this. It's our heart as a church family, and I know for other church families as well, to be a help in our community, to make it a greater place to live, especially for residents that are hurting and maybe don't have the ability or finances to bring change in their homes. Christian Life Assembly is partnered with an organization called City Serve, which you may or may not be familiar with. And we are launching this month, our church is, and City Serve is a partnership with an organization that also partners with major retailers like Costco and Walmart that allows us to receive hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of goods in kind for free that we can then, through our church family or through other church families in Tehachapi, distribute to people who are in need. And so we're starting that this month. We've already piloted a couple of families. So we had a family that we partnered with who was a single mom with 5 kids living in an apartment on Aspen Drive, and they had 0 furniture in their house, and everybody was sleeping in one bed. And so one of our families, our church partnered with this family, and we were able to give them beds for all their kids, couches for them to sit on, a table for them to eat meals at, and all of that was free to them. And the truth is, it was free to Christian Life Assembly. It came to us via City Serve. And so we're launching this here as part of this, and we're happy to partner with what's going on, but we also would like to partner with those families long-term to bring the help that they may need with City Serve. And just encourage you, if you don't know anything about City Serve, you can talk with me or go in Bakersfield. It's already started there and kind of widespread there, and we're starting it here. And our hope is, as a church family, to partner with other churches in this town to bring it here, and then also to be a hub for some of our Eastern current communities that really struggle in some of these areas as well. So that's our heart. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bravo. Bravo.
Mike Puffer, I'm a city resident, and I got coded. Back when the drought happened, my lawn died, and the first thing I got, about 2 years later, got a citation, and then said, how do I fix this? I called the officer, and he says, plant grass. The one thing that I would ask is, because of the expense of watering grass, if we're going to go in and clean up yards, we also look at xeriscaping the yards for them and using drip irrigation and making it easier financially for them to take care of the yards in the future. Grass does not work. We are in a desert. And planting grass so that we have this ideal lawn is bad for the environment, bad for our water usage, and the wrong message that we should be doing in the city. Just ask you to consider that.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Council?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd like to applaud that young man for the Scouts for his neighborhood watch program. Many years ago, I was a Scoutmaster and had a lot of young men that were going through my troop, and they received a lot of merit badges for helping their towns, their communities with the neighborhood watch program. So thank you for your service, young man. Also, I think this is great. I'm the techie guy in my family. I only see one problem. Who's going to install these, Chief? Because once they're installed, there's issues. You know, the internet goes down, the internet comes back up. Sometimes the ring doesn't hook back up. So we've got to have a program for that, I think.
Keith, you probably answered that. There's a workshop, I believe, planned initially, correct?
There is, but ultimately this becomes their equipment. It's their device. It's up to them to have the internet and use it. We're providing them with a tool, and hopefully they'll be able to, and if there's questions and assists, there is technical support that they're going to either need to be able to install, stick up the cameras themselves, but it's not part of the program.
I installed one for my father, and he's 82, and it's he loves it. He can see his driveway, see his front porch, but when he has a hiccup, you know, I'm the first call, and I'm 2 hours away, so, you know.
I can see this part of participation with the community groups and the churches that have been involved that want to help, and that could be identified as probably one of those areas where some from our church community that are there to help support would be there to
Or to Mr. Davies, since he has experience.
Absolutely. We appreciate the time and help out there.
Motion.
What'd you sign up
That was smooth, Chief. That was smooth.
Council comments?
Sure.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think it's a great program. I think, to parallel many of the comments that were made in the audience tonight, I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a proactive way that we approach policing. I would urge us, and I was the council member that spoke at the last meeting in regards to code enforcement. I would urge us to take that extra step to be as, I don't know what the right word is, compassionate maybe. There are a lot of folks that are in this particular area that are legacy families. They've been there a long time. And I know that when somebody comes knocking on your door and asks you to clean up your backyard or to repair your fence, there's a little bit of a personal issue. We heard that from Mr. Puffer to a certain extent. It's very, very sensitive. And I know that our code enforcement officers, I know one better than the other, but our guys do a good job. But all I can request is that we take that extra step and make it as, again, no better term, as compassionate as possible. Give those residents in that particular neighborhood an opportunity to self-correct. And if they self-correct, then we can mitigate having to take any further action. Do we have a process or a potential of going into particular areas in this given neighborhood that are more of a high crime or high traffic area, and potentially, rather than offering a 50% discount on a system, doing 100% just to get that coverage in that particular area? Have we looked at that or weighed that? And I appreciate the opportunity or the issue. You want to have somebody to participate in helping themselves. At the same time, if we can glean a little more out of a specific high traffic area, maybe it would behoove us to go full up and pay for the entire system.
And I'll allow Keith to address that. Understand it. Just to get this partnership took a little bit of work because they generally don't do projects of this small size. They usually do the much larger ones. So they agreed to partner with us on this one. As I promised them I would bring in some other surrounding areas to potentially expose them to their product as well. So I don't know if the full thing is a possibility or not.
The program is as presented from Ring. So any additional money to subsidize would have to come from another source. Ring is providing their $50 discount, and these are the products. This is not their first rollout of this program, and we are the smallest city that has participated in this program. So they're used to, I believe, with Palmdale launching, their first launch was either $25,000 or $50,000. That was the subsidy that came from the city. Arcadia has had much success, and they've had multiple phases. So the 50-50 co-op, if you will, between the city and Ring provides that $100. If there was going to be another subsidy, a scholarship, if you will, it would have to come from an outside source. Maybe if there were businesses that wanted to sponsor that, but it's not a part of the program that's offered. And I've had a lot of discussions with Ring. They've offered, and 100, limited to the first 100 residents is their smallest launch. They're based out in West LA, so they're actually going to roll out here and bring product to help with this launch in for any of the residents and businesses that want it. So we're able to bring them out for only selling 100 units. It's great exposure for them, obviously, in a county that they have very little presence in as far as their program. We're going to invite other police agencies to come out and join to help in that. So it's one of those that we were able to get on board with a small number and get the full benefits and the secondary discounts that are going to be offered to our residents, which wouldn't normally be. So we've done everything we can to bring everything, if you could, to squeeze what we can out of that rock. So if there's to be any other my thoughts would be if there was a scholarship program through the businesses locally, but it's not going to come from Ring, in my opinion.
Yeah, so Ring will participate up to the 50% factor, but that doesn't mean that the city couldn't top up a particular area or a particular resident. You know, if we had to bridge that gap, you know, rather than having 100 residents that may end up with a system, you know, maybe that number gets cut back to 80 because we've had to top up a little bit more for certain high traffic areas to consume our $5,000 contribution. I think there's more than one way to peel that apple. Great, thanks, Keith.
Other comments from the council?
I think he's not done.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Madam Mayor, I think I've covered everything.
Okay.
Thanks.
I agree with everyone here. This is one of those programs that everyone, I think, thinks is very positive, and I think it's going to do very well. It's a win-win-win-win for everybody, and I'm with Mr. Hecky that if this works out at 5,000, the return on investment on something like this is going to be huge. When neighborhoods bring themselves up and they feel more safe and they can help nab a suspect because 2 or 3 cameras got the same guy on the porch going through stuff, it's going to be very beneficial. And if we have 100 people sign up and we need another 100, I think we should come back to the council and say, look, it might be worth it for us to go for another 100, even if we have to do it on our dime, you know. And there's also, like you said, a scholarship program possibly where there might be people out there that they like to, you've heard of people, I want to go to Southern California and I want to pay somebody's gas bill or electric bill and don't let them know who I am, I just want to pay it off for them because there's people in the community, there's in churches and everywhere that if they had an opportunity and a place to go and take that step, they would do it in a heartbeat. You had something on that?
Ring is willing to participate with us in a phase 2, phase 3, as long as we want to do this. They will be committed to us as long as we want to continue to roll out and we find that there's success and benefit in this program. So 100 doesn't have to be the limit, it's phase 1. And if all of a sudden in the first week it was gone and it was determined that we want to launch a phase 2, we would bring it back to you and Ring is willing to participate at that level.
Perfect, because if we're the smallest one, heck, let's be one of the bigger ones, you know? Anyway, I think this is going to go over very well. And if there are individuals who can't afford it, even after the subsidy from Ring and the city, I think if we had a pool of money or a place of contact for people who want to help the community or help a neighborhood, that say, I'd like to pay for one of those doorbells for a person in my neighborhood, just don't. Sometimes they'll want to be anonymous, but you know, people like doing that. I like doing that. So, and you don't need the credit for it, you just want to help. So I think it's a wonderful idea. And like I said, the voluntary compliance part of it, I think is huge. And the surveys, where then the door-to-door, this could take a lot of labor, a lot of effort. But once it starts in a community, in a neighborhood, and catches on, and with the publicity, it sounds like we're gonna do a neighborhood, but it's gonna go citywide. There's nothing stopping anyone from cleaning up your yard and waiting for this project to hit your neighborhood. So I think a real big splash in public relations thing for the citywide, I think it's going to go a long way. And the public voluntary compliance part of it, I think will go a long way to, you know, alleviate a lot of fears. We've had success from code enforcement. Thank you guys. In the past, when we've had a neighborhood come to us and said, we've got a house that is just, you know, tearing down our neighborhood's value, and it's always a problem. And we've had code enforcement come in with efforts and then cleaned it up. Those neighbors praise the city for taking the action. So you're going to see people getting involved, and you're going to see the people who don't want to do this are the ones who need to clean up their yard. So I think we're going to be able to do this mostly on voluntary, and it's going to be, I think it's going to be really great. So
That's it. Thanks.
Okay, before I entertain a motion, I just want to add that before Christmas, all of my adult children think that they should have all of their Christmas presents delivered to my house because I don't work. So my doorbell was ringing constantly. And one night about 5:45, the doorbell rang, and I thought it was the UPS guy again, so I jerked the door open, and it's not. It's some young man standing there saying, yeah, I've been working in your neighborhood, and I'm gonna come in and use your phone to call my boss. And I said, no. But then I shut the door and I thought, that was really stupid. So the next day I went and bought a Ring doorbell. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is. Yeah, sometimes Michael Davies said a skunk was in his yard, made the doorbell make a noise, and sometimes a car goes by, whatever, but I'll take all the false alarms because I know when there's really somebody there, I can see them on my phone. And it's worth all the money in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And all of the rest of this project, there's nothing bad any of us could say. It's wonderful. So with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the agreement with Ring.
It's informational.
Is it information? I thought we needed.
So that was information, and then my next
yes.
item is the agreement with Ring.
Yes.
We blended them a little. But
Yeah, all right.
Yes, absolutely. So, again, before I go into my agreement, very excited about this program and your concerns. I certainly appreciate that, and it's my goal to get through this without having to issue a single citation for a code enforcement violation. Okay, that's our goal here is the voluntary compliance. So with that, we'll move on to my next item, which is a professional services agreement with Ring LLC for the Ring doorbell and camera rebate program. So over the past 5 years, we've had a pretty significant reduction in our apartment crimes. However, in 2018, we did see an increase in our apartment crimes of about 63 more crimes than we had in 2017. So with that increase in crime, I believe it's critical that the Tehachapi Police Department and the City of Tehachapi utilize technology, community support, and strategic partnership to maximize our efforts to prevent and reduce crime. The city's been in contact with Ring LLC to partner on their Ring doorbell and camera rebate program. This program is intended to help the community reduce and prevent residential burglaries by providing a method to track and save videos to identify criminals and suspicious individuals. In 2015, the Los Angeles Police Department and Ring LLC installed Ring video doorbells in 41 out of 500 homes in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Wilshire Park. The Ring LLC doorbells reduced home burglaries in the Wilshire Park neighborhood by 55% between July and December of 2015, and no burglaries occurred at houses with the Ring doorbell. Furthermore, locking out of Flint Ridge, Arcadia, Rancho Palos Verdes, Temple City, and Santa Clarita have successfully initiated rebate programs with Ring LLC. Due to the outcomes of the LAPD study and positive program feedback from other cities, staff believes that Ring LLC doorbell and camera rebate program will provide value to the community by enhancing law enforcement efforts and encouraging collaboration between the Tehachapi Police Department and Tehachapi residents. It goes into a lot more detail here in my staff report. Keith's covered most of this in the earlier presentation. We have the products listed that are available for the rebate program. It's eligible for the first 100 residents, and as Keith mentioned, we have the ability to expand this into additional phases if necessary. Keep in mind, we kept this small just to kind of see how well received it would be by the community. And we also kept it small because as the chief of police, I didn't initially include this within my budget, so I had to kind of squeeze this out of my community relations budget. I'm sure Hannah's not happy to hear that, but anyway, so it's $5,000 that we're going to, that's the fiscal impact's going to be $5,000 initially that I'm going to extract from my community relations budget. So my staff's recommendation is that you approve this agreement and understand the city attorney has been working on this agreement, has made some recommendations for changes that have gone back to Ring. It's now in the legal lines of Ring and expected to get back to us in about 3 weeks, is my understanding. So you'd be approving this agreement under the condition that that revision is approved by the city attorney and the city manager.
Any comments from the audience? Council?
Question, please.
Is the city going to have access to this video? And I noticed that there's a $30 fee per year to record. And how are we handling that for the people who can't afford that? Because if they can't record the data, you're not going to get anything out of it. Am I wrong?
Okay, if I can answer the first question. No, we do not have access to that data unless that resident chooses to provide it to us for a criminal investigation.
And there is, you have options if you want to subscribe to their data service, you can. And but it is offered at $0. You do not have to. You still can retain and access that video data for a period of time. So you do have the ability to look at it, provide it to law enforcement if you're a victim of a crime, or witness the camera witness the crime, and you can provide that without having to worry about a monthly or annual storage fee.
And I have one myself, and I don't pay the storage fee, and I have access to probably, I can look at a couple of weeks worth of video of people that have visited my home. So not necessary that you have that, but it just gives you the ability to retain it for a long period of time.
Most likely, if you have an event, you're going to use the data right then. And I would hope that we would, as we subsidize a resident's equipment, we have a flyer that says, just an outreach program. If you're a victim, call us. Some people suffer in silence more than we know. But if they would reach out to the police department and feel more comfortable, say, look, I got this guy, or here's the video, just let them know that, share it. So my point was maybe an outreach flyer. When you do get this, we're partnering. So, okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, we actually have, like I said, Key's got a launch program scheduled for this where they're actually going to come out and present their product and give people the opportunity to sign up for that rebate program. And that also reminds me, sir, that as far as the code enforcement piece of this, of our neighborhood improvement project, we have a flyer that we've developed that will be going out as part of the educational process that will go out to all of those residents as we go into those neighborhoods, that explains the most common code violations and how to correct those violations. And again, voluntary compliance, that's what we're looking for. So.
And I have a question. In addition to the ring service, how often does code enforcement go through our neighborhoods or patrol our neighborhoods out of curiosity?
My code enforcement guys are out in the neighborhoods daily, but I can tell you just based on the volume of work that they have, for the most part right now, most of their actions are complaint driven. We have, some things come to our attention, and then maybe as we're addressing that issue in that neighborhood, we see additional violations in that neighborhood. It's only proper that we address those additional violations as well. And more often than not, it's complaint driven if it gets us out there.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Entertain a motion.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let the record show it was a 5-0 vote. Great. We're all looking forward to this. And now my stupid thing jumped. Let me see your next one.
7.
Disbursements and bills for RSI Petroleum.
Madam Mayor, I need to recuse myself
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm an employee of RSI Petroleum.
Yes, sir. Any comments or questions regarding this? I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to pay the bills to, or for RSI as presented.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record show it was a 4-0 vote. Wait for him to come back. All right, Finance Director reports, fiscal year end 2018 financial reports.
So, Honorable Mayor, Wiggins, and council members, Hannah Chong, Finance Director. The agenda item before you is the presentation of all the financial reports. And the city's financial transactions for fiscal year 2017-18 are now audited, and the financial reports are completed. And the report included in this staff report is comprehensive annual financial report, independent accountants reports on appropriations limit worksheets, and statements of audit standard 114, and independent auditor's report on internal control and other matters. So in the comprehensive annual financial reports, also known as CAFR, the city's basic financial statements are comprised of their 3 sections. The government-wide financial statements. The government-wide financial statements are designed to provide readers with broad view of the city's finance matters similar to private sector. The second section is fund financial statements. The focus of fund financial statements is directed to specific activities of the city rather than the city as a whole. In this staff report, all fund balances and the variances are explained based on fund financial statements. And the third section is note to financial statements. The notes give additional information that is essential to full understanding of the data provided in the government-wide fund financial statements. So this year, staff has made substantial improvement to the CAFR, and the most notable addition to the report is in the statistical section. So that in that statistical section is comprised of financial trends, revenue capacity, debt capacity, demographic and economic information, and operation information. So now I will go over net fund balances in the major funds. First, I will go with the general fund. The general fund has a net gain of $1,001,400, resulted in an $8,297,655 year-end fund balance. Fund balance is similar to the equity or the in private sector. And this general fund is the book is kept based on the government fund accounting. A portion of the net gain will be encumbered, such as there are certain expenditures not included in this year's expense because of the timing matters, will be encumbered to be spent in the future year, and this $1 million will be spent toward that. And the accumulated net gain will also be used to subsidize certain funds with fund deficits, and covers expenditures in project funds until grants are received. And in comparison to the prior year, general fund received increased by $1,159,000 out of the totaling $59,000 in revenue. And out of the total increase, $528,000 was the loan proceeds. Unlike proprietary funds, the loan amount is booked as a revenue in governmental fund accounting. The major revenue increases are from property tax, $65,000, sales tax, $251,000. These numbers are the increased portion. TOT, which is hotel tax, $54,000, motor vehicle tax, $98,600, and various city employee service charges, which is $182,000. On the expenditure side, overall expenditures were increased by 289,000, whereas the operating transfers out was reduced by 1,432,000. This year's expenditures include the purchase of 2 police vehicles and a parking lot construction cost, which were paid by the loan proceeds. In governmental accounting, we capture loan proceeds as revenue, so that also the capital expenditures, those are the big difference between governmental accounting and proprietary fund accounting. So on the expenditure side, overall expenditures were increased by 289,000. The operating transfers out was reduced by 1.4. Okay, so I went over there. So this year's, during the prior year, general fund transferred, there was like a big difference in the 1.4 million of operating transfer out was from the transfer done in 2017 year end to the airport fund from the general fund as a write-off. I'll move on to the water funds. The net gain of 251,700 resulted in 6,473,621 year-end fund balance, which is based on proprietary fund accounting. Also, we call it enterprise fund. In comparison to the prior year operation, water fund received 107,000 more in water sales revenue, 155,000 less in connection fees, and 282,000 less in rent revenue. And the rent revenue is always, it's not regular revenue. And last year we had some, the grant project, and that's how we received the grant. On the expenditure side, expense side, the personnel cost, which include all comprehensive benefits, was up by 127,000. Operating and capital expenses were decreased by 466,000. The substantial decrease in operating expense was caused by an expensive capital asset, which affected no cash transaction, which was in the amount of 555,000 during the prior year. So the next fund is the sewer fund. A net gain of 153,000 resulted in 8,962,000 year-end fund balance. Also, this is also based on proprietary fund base. So in comparison to the prior year operation, sewer fund received 93,000 more in sewer service charges and 284,000 less in connection fees. On the expense side, personnel expense was up by 109,000 and operating and capital expenses were decreased by 39,000. So I am going to move on to the airport fund. A net loss of 217,000 resulted in 1,555,984 year-end fund balance, which is also based on proprietary fund accounting. In comparison to the prior year operation, airport fund received 22,000 more in total revenues with the exclusion of 1.4 million operating transfer from the general fund, like I have mentioned, for the loan write-off transaction. On the expenditure side, total expenses were up by 66,700. The main increase was from the personnel cost. This personnel cost is rather comprehensive. It's just not only the wages, but it also includes retirements, the health insurance, and FICA, and maybe and all that the city has to pay for, and also the insurance, the workers' compensation insurance the city has to carry. So my presentation is up to this point, and if there are any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Questions from the audience? Council?
Hello again. How are we going to fill this $200,000 gap at the airport?
That's a good question.
Cal City just passed some ordinances. They're going to raise $10 million over the next 5 years. I think the airport might be a good location for certain kinds of businesses outside of the public. You know, we need the money. Come on, like sidewalks are falling apart. In fact, my neighborhood, which is in Joni's district that she represents, we're not even included in the Americans with Disability Plan to fix sidewalks. Like, my own neighborhood's not in that. The only neighborhood in Tehachapi. So, you know, we got to figure out a way to get some more money without raising taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, then I would like to introduce a partner of BLF audit firm who audited our book, and his name is Brett Denant. And Brett will go over audit process as well as some audit reports. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for having me on here tonight. I'm just going to do a kind of a short presentation on the audit process and answer any questions you might have. So the audit process is kind of broken up into two different parts. We have an interim audit field work and also a year-end audit field work. The interim audit field work is where we do our risk assessment, and the risk assessment process is where we are assessing the risk that the financial statements might be materially misstated. And so part of that process is just gaining an understanding of the internal controls, how things work, things like that. We are reviewing processes, cash receipts, cash disbursements, inquiring with different people throughout the city hall to gain our understanding. The second part of the audit is our year-end audit field work. This is where we are really testing the amounts and the balances in the financial statements. And the way we go about doing some of these procedures is confirmation with outside parties, testing balances, subsequent receipts, subsequent disbursements, and comparisons to prior years. So as part of our audit, there's several reports that are issued. Most notably is the audit report. That's the report on your CAFR. The second report is a report on internal control and compliance. The next report is a report on the calculation of the city's appropriations limit. And also there's a statement on auditing standards 114. That's a communication that's required with the city council. Another report which is yet to be completed is the single audit report. This is a report where we are auditing and testing compliance with major federal programs. So a little bit about the audit reports. These are kind of just different sections of the audit report, and basically it's talks about what management's responsibilities are. Management's responsibilities are the preparation of the financial statements. Auditor's responsibility is to express an opinion on the fair presentation of those financial statements. Goes into talking about what the auditors do as part of gaining our opinion or expressing our opinion, conduct our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards, and it's not absolute assurance, it's reasonable assurance. The city's financial statements received an unmodified opinion, which is a clean opinion. Basically means that there were no material departures from GAAP, and the financial statements were fairly presented in accordance with GAAP, which generally accepted accounting principles. There's another section on the audit report that talks about the required supplementary information and what our responsibilities are for that required supplementary information, and then also the other supplementary information of the financial statements. So it kind of just talks about our responsibilities for each section of the financial statements. Kind of just some key figures in your financial statements. Net pension liability is $4.4 million. And just based on my experience with other organizations, that's reasonably low for a city of your size. So the reason I usually bring attention to that liability is because it goes up from year to year, and has nothing to do with payments not being made. The city can pay 100% of their required contributions, and the actuarial calculations come in and your liability goes up. And there's really not a whole lot that can be done about that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Hannah mentioned fund balance in the general fund increased by $1 million this year. And the unrestricted fund balance in your general fund is approximately 94% of your 2017-18 expenditures, which is a very healthy unrestricted fund balance in your general fund. GFOA, which is Government Finance Officers Association, they come up with best practices for financial reporting, and they recommend a minimum of 2 months. So that kind of sees where you compare to best practices in the industry. Report on internal control and compliance. This is where we are required to communicate any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or compliance issues that we would have found during our risk assessment process. In the current year, we did not identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies as they relate to financial reporting, nor did we find any compliance issues. Report on the city's appropriations limit. This is just a basic recalculation to make sure that it was done in accordance with the state law, and we did not have any exceptions to the calculation that was done. SAS 114 report. This is another report that you guys have been presented with, and it's a required communication by our audit standards, and it talks about different parts of the financial statements, sensitive disclosures in those financial statements, so that you're aware of any sensitive disclosures. And when you look through that report, you'll see it talks about the net pension liability. And the reason that one's a sensitive disclosure is because it's an estimate. It's not an absolute fact. CalPERS and actuaries project into the future what they think your liability will be over the next 30 years, but obviously that can change significantly based on actual events. The audit process, I just want to thank the finance staff. It's a lot of work doing an audit for both parties, and I just appreciate the help provided by the city's finance department. You will notice this year, as Hannah mentioned, the city did what's called a comprehensive annual financial report. That's and they submitted it for an award from GFOA, and so this is the first year that they've done it, and it's a lot of work. So Hannah did a good job on that, and just wanted to point that out. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from the audience? Council?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Sir, did your corporation issue any management recommendation letters to the city of Tehachapi for issues that you felt need to be resolved going into the future?
We did not have any management letter comments this year.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but just a very good report. Our finances are healthy. Kudos to staff, every one of you. The citizens should be very happy that our finances are in order. Very well. Thank you very much.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
City manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Wiggins. Two things, working backwards. Thank Hannah and her staff. Brett, thank you. All the employees of the city of Tehachapi. I've said this many times, this does not come by accident. Our books are healthy. We have good reserves. We're very diligent about the people's business. So thank you to everyone involved, and thank you for your continued support. The second thing is thank you to Chief Krager, Corey, Key, and all the others in the audience that helped us with this program, Pastor Claude and others that spoke. We've been working on this for a while, mulling it over, and the stars really needed to align because we didn't want it to be a force-fed government project. Okay? We've been talking to churches, we've been talking to individuals, and figuring out this program that we've just unveiled tonight. So it too didn't come by accident. I'm very proud of the fact that you're supporting this community effort, including the Ring project. I think it's going to be received extremely well in the entire city. We're going to start on the north side as a test, and I think it's just going to run. And I'm very, very excited about the partnerships that we have formed and the future partnerships that we will continue to form because it is our city collectively, and we have to do things together. Government cannot take care of its residents. They have to be engaged with the council, with the staff, and things that we're doing, and they have to agree that it's a good idea. And I think everybody here tonight agreed that it's a good idea. And we'll make changes if we need to. We'll hang left, we'll hang right, we'll do whatever we need to do to make this work, I can assure you. And we'll be coming back with some updates, and I would suspect that we'll be coming back with requests for additional funds and resources to continue to drive crime down and to make Tehachapi the best city in Kern County. Thank you.
Council member reports. Mr. Davies?
I have nothing, Mayor. Nothing.
I'd just like to second whatever. Anyway, the financial department in Hannah, that's quite a report. If you look at it, it's quite an extensive report, and hopefully they will receive an award for their efforts. And also, there were 4 of us and Mr. Garrett, who attended a conference last week for city council members to improve their understanding of what goes on in this city government. And it was quite comprehensive, a lot of information, and I enjoyed my stint.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say thank you to the members of the audience that participated tonight. As you know, government works for the people. And unless we have people in our audience and coming up to the podium and conveying your message to us, we work in a vacuum to a certain extent. So I thank you personally for coming up, and I would hope that you go home and tell your friends and neighbors and family members that they can come to a city council meeting. We don't bite, and we do respect the commentary that you do provide to us. So thank you.
All right, unless there's any other comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion. I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.